Get rid of that plug. Let's just go through and have a little read of some of your comments on the Eden Hazard Real Madrid signing video. 1.5k subscribers as well. Thank you very much for that. Tainu Koshi, who says transfer hub. I feel like that's 100% been done before in the past by numerous people all over the world. TV, internet, YouTube, whatever it may be. Very nice channel, bro. Subbed, thank you very much. Why does this guy look so familiar? Probably because I am herder of buffalo, as most people remember me as. Bent's on the move. Don't think that's going to be the most YouTube algorithm friendly series title, but thank you for the suggestion anyway. Suggestion. In and out series, I like that. Transfer roundup, transfer talk, this summer's transfers, summer transfers. Benson's news delivery, I kind of like the ring of that, but again, it's not YouTube algorithm friendly, and that's kind of important on YouTube nowadays. Transfer Tuesday, that means I can only really upload it on a Tuesday, and if there's things going on, I kind of want to upload more than just on a Tuesday. It's also Wednesday now, so that's kind of a week too late. Benson's best rumours from sub 3 Will NE. Transfer shocks or transfer central. Let's just go with chatting transfer rumours or something along those lines. That's what I'm going to call it between you and I as I start this video. The title may say something different, but chatting transfer rumours, something along those lines is exactly what we're going to go for. Got myself a black coffee. It's pretty good, made it myself. We are going to go through some of the current gossip. I've got my little notebook in front of me where I've got a few notes written down. What I think is going to be one of the best fuels for these videos coming up. The BBC gossip column. BBC basically just take a load of different newspapers and then they put like a little headline and then you can click on the article if you wish to read it. Instead of clicking on the article, I'm just going to go through and give my thoughts on some of the rumours that are going around in football right now in the global media. So the first one that we're coming across today, and we're going to pick a few each episode to talk about, mainly transfers, but some of them will be kind of transfer based but with a different kind of headline. Manchester City manager Pep Guardiola is considering a sabbatical from football at the end of next season if he wins the Champions League. Now, as this is mainly a transfer series, it will be pretty important to look at what Manchester City would need to do in order to win the Champions League. This is from the Daily Star. I wouldn't say they're the most reputable news source in the world. However, there is probably some element of truth to this kind of idea that if Pep Guardiola wins the Champions League with Manchester City, it's not a foregone conclusion that they'll win the Premier League next year, but it's highly likely with the squad that they've got, with the money they've got in order to reinvest, that they could be the first team since Manchester United to win 3 Premier League trophies in a row. I'm not going to go into whether I think they will. It's highly likely that they could, though. They will be one of the favourites, if not the favourites again, going into next season. As for the Champions League, it has kind of been the bane of Manchester City's footballing lives in recent years. They've got very close. I remember I went to the Bernabeu to watch them against Real Madrid, and even though Real Madrid only won that game 1-0, at no point during that match, being in the stadium, did I ever consider Manchester City were going to get through to the Champions League final. Even then, in such a big game, it just seemed as though they lacked the pedigree and experience in order to get past a team with such experience such as Real Madrid. Now, obviously, since then, they have improved a lot. They've brought in some incredible players. They're playing some of the best football in Europe. They're one of the best teams to watch in Europe. They're scoring a ton of goals. They've won the Premier League for back-to-back seasons. The Champions League is the holy grail for them right now. If Pep Guardiola wins the Champions League for Manchester City, there's not really much more for him to do. He's still a relatively young manager in the grander scheme of things. Yes, he's been to Bayern Munich and he's won titles there. Barcelona, he's won everything there as well. Go into Manchester City, and winning the Champions League would probably be, it doesn't really get any bigger than that, you know, to win back-to-back Premier Leagues, potentially a third in a row, and then a Champions League win. It's not a foregone conclusion that this article from the Daily Star could hold some legs. Maybe Pep Guardiola wants to stay and build a dynasty at Manchester City. He's probably in the best position he could in European football right now to actually build a dynasty at a club. But I don't know. There is no suggestion that Guardiola will quit the Premier League champions this summer. Well, I think that's pretty much a foregone conclusion. He signed a contract extension in May 2018 that keeps him in Manchester until 2021. We're now in 2019, so 2020 is only like 6 months away, which is pretty crazy in itself. Sources close to the Spaniard believe he could decide to leave the Etihad at the end of next season if he manages to win the Champions League. Pep invests so much emotional energy into his work that it takes a big toll. It's inevitable he will have to take a step back. In terms of the future of the Premier League, this is a good thing for any club that isn't Manchester City. With Guardiola at the helm at Man City, they are probably going to be the favourites to win everything that they go into, be it the Champions League, the Premier League. They're going to be one of the favourites next season to do that. The longer he remains in charge of Manchester City, the likelihood is they're probably going to add more Premier League titles to their name and to their trophy cabinet. If they don't win the Champions League next season, I don't think Guardiola will leave. However, I completely understand where this article is coming from. All of the energy and efforts that Guardiola puts in to managing the team the way he does at Manchester City, if he does win it, I could see him stepping down for that sabbatical, as the Daily Star said. That was actually the #1 gossip article today, being the 12th of June 2019, updated 6 hours ago. We'll move on. Manchester United have made contact with Barcelona over their 31-year-old Croatian midfielder Ivan Rakitic. No Champions League football next season for Manchester United. That is a big deal when it comes to trying to prize away a player such as Ivan Rakitic, who's got Champions League pedigree. He's won all the trophies at Barcelona. El mercado se encuentra algo estancado, pero uno de los jugadores que despierto mucho interés es Rakitic. That was me attempting to speak Spanish from this article from sport.es. Man United don't have Champions League football next season, which is a massive thing for a player of the calibre and ilk of Ivan Rakitic. He's been playing Champions League football every year since he got to Barcelona. He's been winning La Liga trophies. He's playing for one of the biggest clubs in the world. Yes, Man United are still up there as one of the biggest clubs in the world, whether they are playing Champions League football next season or not. And of course, you could say they're in a state of disarray, as we brought up in the last video regarding Chelsea. But United have got struggles of their own. Their main man, Paul Pogba, could be on his way to Real Madrid. Rakitic coming in, he's 31 years old. It seems to me as though, from what I've heard from other rumours this summer, and it looks like they're signing James from Swansea, it looks as though United are looking for younger players in order to get rid of some of the older players at Old Trafford, to build a younger squad, to move forward with more of a longer term plan. Ivan Rakitic would come in, provide experience for the midfield. If I was a United fan, I wouldn't be too sure on this one either. Let me know, if you're a United fan, what you think of this one in the comments down below. It's kind of hard for me to have an opinion on this. I just don't really think it has that much legs. Sticking on the theme of Manchester United, it is very evident, having watched United last season, and ever since Alex Ferguson left really, that the main issue at United has been defensively. David De Gea looks as though he could be out. He could be on his way to PSG. One of the main things that has come up in the media recently is that Jan Oblak wants to leave Atletico, and Manchester United is the obvious destination for him. There's no way that Oblak is going to go to Manchester United unless David De Gea moves on somewhere else. He's not going to go to Atletico. The likelihood is David De Gea is going to go and sign for PSG. I feel as though he's been flirting with a move away from Manchester United now for years. Real Madrid has been the main choice in terms of where all of that speculation has come from. There's been interest in David De Gea. It almost went through, whether it was for a printer break, I believe it was, a couple of seasons ago. If the printer would have worked, David De Gea would have been a Real Madrid player. Since then, they've gone on and signed Thibaut Courtois from Chelsea, and even he can't make it into the first team. He's been on the bench a lot recently as well for them in his first season. I don't think he's going to go to Real Madrid. I think that one is dead in the water. I think there is a very, very strong possibility that David De Gea will go to PSG, and then Oblak will come in. United will have to bring in another world-class goalkeeper, and Oblak is up there probably in the top 5 in Europe right now. So I definitely expect that is a very, very strong likely transfer. And then in front of him, Wan Bissaka and Harry Maguire, at a combined total, it's being reported here, of £130 million. Part of that may be with Oblak. They're two very good players, but £130 million, it's not going to leave that much room for United to actually invest in the rest of the team, where there are also holes that they need to address if they want to be back in the top 4 next season. Wan Bissaka, he's had a very good season at Crystal Palace. He was a great player for them last season. He would be a very good signing. Harry Maguire as well. I'm a skeptic when it comes to Harry Maguire. I'm not fully sure he justifies the price tag, but then again, there are plenty of English players that have ridiculous price tags on their name because they are English and homegrown, but 130 million for Wan Bissaka and Harry Maguire. Partner that with the signing of Oblak and De Gea going the other way. Financially, they could probably justify buying the keeper. 130 million for those two defenders. I'm not fully convinced. When Manchester United look at the success of City and Liverpool over recent years, a lot of that has been down to the fact they've actually invested in the defence. Liverpool saw a massive issue in centre-back. They bought in Virgil van Dijk. Could be on his way to winning a Ballon d'Or. He's been absolutely incredible for Liverpool. No one's dribbled past him in like 70 games or something ridiculous. They also bought in Alisson, who is undoubtedly one of the best goalkeepers in the Premier League and in the world right now. So they answered their defensive issues, which has now enabled them to go on and win the Champions League. Manchester City, they saw flaws in their defence. They bring in Danilo as backup. They bring in Mendy. They bring in Laporte. They bring in players that can walk into their first team, and then they win back-to-back Premier League titles. United know that they really need to invest in that defence if they are to start getting back in that conversation of being a top winning side in the Premier League and in Europe. Now, Wan Bissaka and Harry Maguire, are they the answer? Those three could make a big difference for United next season. The next article is from Sky Sports, who say that Manchester United are interested in signing Max Aarons, the 19-year-old from Norwich, if their move for Wan Bissaka is unsuccessful. I think signing a player who had a good season in the Championship is not going to be the answer to Manchester United's defensive problems. Now, the next player that has been linked with Manchester United, I feel as though this has kind of been a Manchester United directed transfer video so far. Matthijs de Ligt from Ajax. He was one of the breakthrough players in Europe last season. He had a fantastic season for Ajax, guiding them to the Dutch crown, as well as getting them to a Champions League semi-final. He was pivotal in that Champions League run as the captain of Ajax. Also today, I have read many things, particularly on Twitter. He was trending worldwide on Twitter with like 40,000 tweets or something. PSG have come in for the 19-year-old. Apparently he's demanding £250,000 per week in wages, which is absolutely ludicrous for a 19-year-old who has been playing in not necessarily the strongest league in Europe. Can he go in and say, I want £250,000 a week? I feel as though moving to PSG, just for that reason only, probably, the money, isn't a move that is going to continue to cover De Ligt in the glory that he has been known for this season at Ajax. People are talking about him as potentially the greatest centre-back for the next few years in the world. Virgil van Dijk's got something to say about that right now. Is moving to PSG the best move for De Ligt's career right now? He would probably walk into their first team. I'm sure Marquinhos would have something to say about it, but he would be a first-team starter for PSG. They do have that goal of winning the Champions League, which, again, a bit like Manchester City, they just don't have that experienced pedigree when it comes to the big matches to actually see that through. So I don't see PSG winning the Champions League next season, particularly if they lose Mbappe. We'll probably save that for another video, actually, talking about Kylian Mbappe. But Matthijs de Ligt to PSG, financially, yes, it's possible. They can pay an extraordinary fee for him. They could pay him the wages. If he was to go to Manchester United, on the other hand, not only would he be a guaranteed starter for them, but I feel as though for the longevity of his career, I feel like it would be a better move. Another option for Matthijs de Ligt would, of course, be Barcelona. They've expressed interest in him. His friend De Jong has just signed for Barcelona, which as a youngster would be another big push. He's got the likes of Gerard Piqué, Lenglet and Umtiti to compete against at Barcelona, which means he's not necessarily a guaranteed starter, and as a 19-year-old playing the way he is right now, a move to Manchester United would certainly be a better option for him in terms of guaranteeing him first-team football. He's been quoted as to say that he just wants to keep playing, and Barcelona, if he really cares about playing first-team football every week, may not be the best move for him right now as well. I would probably put him in there as well, alongside Piqué, but I feel as though a move to Manchester United, where he's guaranteed first-team football, would be a really good move for Matthijs de Ligt right now. But then you've also got the likes of Liverpool, who could be interested in him also. He's 19 years old, playing some incredible football already. He's not even at his peak right now. Matthijs de Ligt, where is he going to go? Your thoughts in the comments down below. My opinions, of course, they're just my opinions. It doesn't really matter. I don't have anyone coming in this ear or that ear telling me who's going to sign who. I'm just following the headlines and Twitter and the newspapers and BBC the same way that you are. But what I want to do with these videos is spark the conversation in the comments down below. We've talked about De Ligt, we've talked about Wan Bissaka, Harry Maguire, Oblak coming into Manchester United, and Pep Guardiola potentially taking a sabbatical from football today. That's been the topics. Let me know your thoughts in the comment section down below, and I will catch you in the next video. See you later. Ow! My funny bone.